In this slide, we have the nucleus. Nucleus in plants and animal cells are found to be round or oval in shape, and they contain a chromosome, which is a structure that holds our DNA. And they are found within the cytoplasm, and their function is to control cell division, cell development, and most of the cell's activities. On our bacteria, you could see that it is also present, but rather than having circles like this and this in our plant and animal cell respectively, you have it in a tangled situation, tangled appearance. It is not enclosed in a membrane, just like your animals and in plant cell. They are just readily floating within the cytoplasm of the bacteria. But this is not really a disadvantage for them because it allows them to reproduce faster. It was said that some bacteria can actually reproduce every 20 minutes. So that is actually very helpful for them. And also, we talked about different species passing down their traits, right, in the previous chapter. This is what allows that to happen. Okay, it can be inherited from the parent to their offspring. Next, we have our cell membrane. So in plants, it would be the area in here, like right the outline in between this purple and blue area. For animals, it would be the border of the blue area. And for bacteria, same goes. That is where your cell membrane can be found. Cell membranes are partially permeable that forms a boundary within the cytoplasm. What do we mean by semi-permeable? Semi-permeable just means that it has an ability to regulate the things or the substances specifically that goes in and out of the cell. It is like a filtering system, if you may. And they prevent cell contents, everything inside, from escaping, and it also controls what substances enter and leave the cell. They are actually made up of both proteins and fats that we will discuss later in a different chapter. Next up is our cell wall. Cell wall can be found in plants and in bacteria, but it is absent in animals. In plant cells, cell walls are known to be tough, non-living layer made up of cellulose, and it surrounds the cytoplasm. So it is this purplish area. In bacteria, it can be found somewhere in this area outside the cytoplasm and your cell membrane, and it's a very rigid structure that has a uniform thickness, and it actually dictates the shape of your bacteria. It provides strength to the bacterial cell, and also, as I mentioned earlier, it maintains the cell shape, and maintaining the cell shape actually is important or dictates how the cell will grow, reproduce, obtain nutrients, and move. Cell wall are opposite of your cell membrane. They are permeable, meaning anything and everything can pass through them because there is a very big hole in between the fibers of these cell wall. Okay, so once again, plants cell wall is made up of cellulose, but for bacteria, it is known as a peptidoglycan. Next up is cytoplasm. In all of the organisms, it is present. It is the blue area where everything is found or suspended. It has a jelly-like consistency. So if you've seen a pudding with floating things in it, that's kind of how scientists theorize how it will look like. And it is made up mostly of water, at least 70%, and several other substances, but the majority of the substances floating in your cytoplasm is a protein. This is the site where metabolic reactions occur. And in metabolic reactions, we usually can build up or break down several substances. Chloroplast. Chloroplasts are present only in plant cells, and it is absent for both animal and bacteria. Chloroplast contains the coloring known as chlorophyll. It is the green pigment responsible for trapping the light in order for photosynthesis to occur. This is the main reason why plants can create their own food, unlike us. So for ribosomes, it is present for plants, animal, and bacteria. They are responsible for creating proteins along with the instructions coming from the DNA. Okay? They are the tiny structures that are seen as yellow in this um, image or diagram. It is the yellow one found in here that is freely floating within the cytoplasm. Same goes here. But if you would notice, both in animal and plant cell, they are also attached to something, this black line in here, that actually forms a network of channels, and these are known as endoplasmic reticulum. If it has these ribosomes attached to it, it will be known as rough endoplasmic reticulum, or for short, they call it RER. But if it doesn't have any of those ribosomes attached to it, it is known as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. In short, SER. Bacteria do not have these. For us and plants, endoplasmic reticulums are important, specifically rough endoplasmic reticulum, as this is needed in protein synthesis since it has synthesis, since it is involved with ribosomes. But for SER or smooth endoplasmic reticulum, they are needed for lipid, or also known as fat synthesis. Okay, we cannot really see this with the help of a light microscope, but rather you would need something more powerful like electron microscope. Okay, so later on when we go to the lab, do not expect to see any ribosome at all. Next, mitochondria, the memeable part of the cell. You could see this everywhere. They are a long-standing meme because they are always given the definition of powerhouse of the cell. Okay, but we have to be more accurate in biology class. And to define them, these are organelles or structures that are two-membraned, and they are participating in aerobic respiration, which is responsible for creating adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy of our cells. Most of the times, biology students think that sugar that we eat or the carbohydrates that we eat is the energy right away, but it is actually just one of the ingredients in order to create adenosine triphosphate, which is the actual energy that we use. And in order to create that, we have to have our mitochondria. It is present in both animal and plant cells, but it is absent in bacteria. Let's just zoom in into one mitochondria in here. This surrounding area in here is the first membrane, and this area in the middle is the second membrane. All of these areas are maximized by your mitochondria, and all of them also participate in the aerobic respiration. If you want to know more about aerobic respiration, make sure to go to biology for A levels in grade 10. Last one, we have our vacuole. They are permanent in plants, not only permanent but very large, and they contain the cell sap, which is sugar and other substances like water or minerals, and they can increase in size, which makes your plant very turgid or very rigid. But you know, if there of course is a lesser amount of the substance, these vacuole would just become smaller. In animals, on the other hand, they are quite small and they are not permanent. And rather than calling them vacuole, we sometimes call them as vesicle. So vesicle and vacuole are actually the same. Vacuoles are typically larger and permanent, and vesicles are smaller and might sometimes move away or just dissolved or be used up depending on what its purpose is. For bacteria, only some species of it have a vacuole.